So you see, I think when we talk about the current market, it's really important to also, define the geographical scope of the current market. And the reason for why I say that is because, if we look at Asia, Singapore in general, the adoption of cyber insurance is not as strong as what it would be or what we could expect it to be in places like the UK or in the US. For us, of course, we have offices all over the globe. In a few places in the globe. We sort of see the different rates of adoption. If we focus based on where I am primarily based, which is Singapore and Asia, I would say that the cyber market has grown. All right. But again, it's grown because the risk has grown. And then the question is, which always arises is, would it have grown that much if the risks had not grown as much? This is different from your policies like directors' liability and professional indemnity, where they were always prominent and cyber insurance was not as much. And in today's date, again, when we say cyber insurance has grown in terms of market adoption, maybe in the past it was 2% of the businesses who were having it. Maybe now it's 15 or 20%. But at the same time, it's important to run through those figures because it's not as much as we think it should be. In today's date, actually, 70-80% of businesses, if not all, should have this cover. But, when we speak about growth from 2% to maybe 15-20%, but it's not where it should be, which is, 70-80% to the minimum, looking at how many businesses are coming under threat and how many businesses are suffering because of cyber losses with or without realizing it. But, just to reiterate, it's grown, but it's not as much as it should be. We're talking about all industry scales, right? Small, medium enterprises. We are talking about, large businesses as well. And of course, each of them have their own reasons, right? Big enterprises like multinational corporations, they have more data and more information, which is at risk. And they have also got huge reputation, which is at risk, which can, be jeopardized if they're hit with a cyber attack. However, they also have very good cybersecurity systems, hopefully, or they have the investments that they can lay towards having good cybersecurity systems. And on the other hand, for small, medium enterprises, they don't have as strong cybersecurity systems. And a lot of them think that, they are too small to come under the radar for being attacked or, having a cyber breach. But those are the businesses who actually the cyber hackers could more easily penetrate into and take advantage of the vulnerabilities of, right? Because those are the businesses, who, because of one cyber attack, could, go under because of the kind of losses that they might face. For a large company, for a large multinational, or for a big business, maybe they could tide through a cyber loss of 200, 300 grand, maybe even $500,000 or even maybe more. But for a small, medium enterprise, or maybe for a small enterprise, a $250,000 loss could mean, their entire life savings or their entire life capital that they have gained and things like that. And for them, it could be much more catastrophic, right? So I would say that all businesses who are, SMEs or, large businesses, regardless, they should have cyber insurance because, like I said, the smaller ones are at higher risk. The bigger ones are, at even higher risk, but they do have, some protection measures or more protection measures than the SMEs. So they should have it. And again, going back to the point where I mentioned earlier that, 70-80% of them should have it. The question comes, of course, which are the 20% who probably don't need to have it as much? These are businesses which, those who we think could, do away without having a cyber insurance is, more of those freelance business persons, right? So for example, if you've got a one person or a two-man operation running a mini mart, for example, maybe cyber insurance might not be that essential. If you've got, a freelance, truck driver or a sole proprietor, delivery person, for example, or a delivery company who's having, just one man show, those are maybe businesses who don't need cyber insurance, who are not online, who are more manual, who are more blue collar and things like that. So those would go under that 15-20% of businesses who could consider going without cyber insurance. But 70 to 80% of the businesses who are involved in services, who are involved in manufacturing, who are involved in holding data, etc., for them, cyber insurance would be essential. I think in the Asian market, the uptake is not as much as it should be. So let's speak about why do we say should be, right? Like we mentioned earlier, they are smaller businesses. A loss of 200, 300 grand is more catastrophic to them than it would be for larger businesses. They've got limited resources, limited client pool. If, their client pool gets alienated, they suffer more than what a large business would, because they have a much more diverse and larger client pool, and so on and so forth, right? And then, of course, they don't have the proper cyber infrastructure or the cyber security infrastructure. And again, the knowledge as well, right? Some of them might not know what a phishing attack is. Some of them might not know how to deal, with hackers in case of a ransomware attack, and, so on and so forth, right? So because of these reasons, they should have, those kind of policies. Now, despite that, the uptake is low because of the fact that many of them feel that it is something that would not happen to them. Now, why do they feel that this would not happen to them? One, because they think that they are too small to come under the radar of any cyber hacker. They would feel that, hey, I'm really small. Why would anyone want to attack me? What are they going to get out of me? Right? So that's one reason. The second reason is also because of that thought that I would not be cyber attacked because I'm not in, the US where this is more common, and in Asia, they do not hear of that much of stories, although there are stories which are happening even in Singapore as well, or in Asia as well, right? I think the third reason is also, why do they not hear so many stories, or why do they think that, they would not be so affected, is because of the litigious environment, right? Some of them feel that Asia might not be as litigious in these kind of aspects like privacy suits and et cetera, as much as, societies or, territories and jurisdictions such as the US, the UK, or Australia might be. I think three main things. I mean, of course, we would, as brokers, want to recommend everything because, we think everything is essential. But I think very importantly, what the three things that they should focus on is third-party losses, right? Because if they're hit with privacy suits, or if they're hit with any kind of, civil liability suits, etc., they should be able to protect themselves. Secondly, ransomware, because ransomware is what a lot of hackers are after, right? They want to, get money out of the, victims and so on and so forth. And thirdly, I would say a policy which comes with a good crisis response team or a crisis response management, because unlike the bigger companies, the smaller companies or the SMEs do not have a dedicated cyber team, or they might not have a dedicated cyber team or a cyber security team, which means that for them to have that outsourced arm to take care of a crisis if and when it occurs is really important. Well, it's a couple of reasons, right? Firstly, as a broker, we are able to educate them more with claims examples, with market benchmarking, what sum insured should you get, what's the average premium supposed to be depending on the kind of security systems and turnovers and geographical split that you have, and so on and so forth. At the same time, through a broker, if and when there's a claim, they have that added arm of support to guide them, to help them to respond to their queries, and so on and so forth. And of course, the last thing is, as brokers, we are more aware of the market's offerings on, who would be a better insurer or who would have a better pricing for them to meet their budget as well as their requirements, and so on and so forth, right? I think due to these reasons, having a broker is definitely very essential. And at the same time, of course, because the insurers have only limited amount of resources, not all insurers might want to deal with clients on a direct basis as well, right? So always having a broker would be very essential because of all these many different reasons, and most importantly, I think, or if amongst these 5 factors that I've just mentioned to you, I think the 2 most important are the benchmarking, all right, as well as the benchmarking and education, which I put as 1, as well as the ability to, get them quotes from multiple sources so that they could do a comparison, and understand that what are the differences between one quote or the other, right? So for example, one client might get 2 quotes from 2 different insurers, or 1 million sum insured each. But one of them, and this is a very simple example, one of them might have both of them might have a deductible, for example, which are the same, but one might have a co-insurance or ransomware while the other might not have one, which is a big difference in policy. Or one might cover ransomware and the other one might not cover one. One might cover social engineering, but the other one might not cover social engineering. These are big differences which otherwise might seem, something which is insignificant, for the layman. But as brokers, we are able to advise them on the different scopes of cover, which can make a big difference to the kind of coverage that you have. For example, and coming to those examples that I gave you earlier, in today's date, social engineering and ransomware losses are amongst the biggest losses or the frequent losses that are taking place. If these are excluded from your policy, or if you have a high co-insurance or a low sub-limit for these kind of events, your coverage is really, really substandard as compared to another one who's probably charging you a same premium, but without this coverage or with a very high co-insurance, right? So these are things, of course, which are pretty technical, which the layman might not understand, but we are able to look out for because we do this as our part of our job every day, and we are able to advise clients on this economy. Thank you very much. Have a great day. And if there's anything else we could help with, happy to do so.